to the Town of Waterboro Planning Board meeting for August 6, 2025. Angela, can we start with roll call?
Rick Madruga.
Here.
Rebecca Higgins.
Here.
Stacy Walker.
Here.
Diane Gray.
Here.
Joe Prescott.
Here.
Right. Next on the agenda is public hearing, which we don't have. Next, under old business, we have 200 Main Street, David Adams, that's my name is there. Salco Realty Associates LLC. Tonight we are determining whether the preliminary application is going to be approved or denied. As I recall, the last time it was about water source.
The
water.
2-foot contours added
Yeah,
to
the contours added to the map, that's right, which we have.
You found it complete with the condition
Of
those
this,
added, and then
yeah.
postponed the
Okay,
deliberation on.
okay. So we have it. I didn't have any questions about it. Did you have any?
No, I
challenges or-
thought it showed what the planning board asked clearly,
Yeah.
and showed the difference between the heights and that they're quite far apart.
Part of any
where the
concerns?
slopes are leading, yeah.
Yes, were there any other?
Other than to say I'm
Yeah, you have to
myself
recuse
from
yourself,
the-
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Me first.
I think I have to announce that.
I think you do, yes, yes. No? Jill?
Just about that or about anything about the project?
We already preliminarily,
Yeah.
That was
Kinda
the only
complete,
condition.
But you can discuss whether something you think needs approval or not. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess it was just because I had more time to kind of like look at it and kind of see where it was in driving space, and so I wanted to understand better, like any type of crosswalks or walkways that might be put in, just because there's only 500 feet of visibility to the left, which is going west. But also if you're turning out of there and going east in the morning, the sun's facing you, and so I worry about traffic coming around that corner, with potential pedestrians either going to the library or hug that ice cream shop. So that was just one thing that I had kind of thought about and thought maybe it was something to raise concern about.
We had the engineering firm that researched that, and they came back and said that what we would need from the state would just be a driveway permit, a driveway opening permit.
I don't know, like, if there's just any consideration for,
Yeah, I think we had gone through that with the sidewalks and everything, right? And that was up to the state because it's a state road, correct? When we originally talked
It's
about it.
a
So
state
because
road.
we're going out onto 202 with that,
Mhm.
then it's not this, the
not
responsibility
our-
of this project,
right.
the state needs to
okay.
roll it up.
they get to
And the state's in, that's all,
So it's
all they
good.
needed was the permit for the driveway versus needing to add any of those things.
Are you talking about crossing 202 or crossing, or parallel, like crossing the development turn in?
Crossing 202, like,
Going
pretty much
across
crossing
202, right?
202,
Yeah.
I just, you know, like where it is and where there might be kids and, you know, they're gonna wanna go to those places, so it was just, when you come around that corner, there's not a lot of visibility, it's like 500 feet and average stopping time could be like 300 feet with like a reaction and braking time, and so, you know, Maine being an older state and bad weather most of the year, I just like to bring up, you know, concerns like that because there will be kids around, so it's just something
I think all of those businesses on that stretch of 202 should be under the same consideration. That farm stand right now with the
That's
traffic,
dangerous.
it's dangerous.
Very
It's
dangerous.
very
Well,
dangerous.
there's been like multiple accidents even in the last few weeks,
Yeah.
so that's why,
Yeah.
you know, it's been
Yeah.
on the mend, so.
Yeah, I think that whole strip, I mean, if you try to come out of Bennett Hill Road and take
Mhm.
a left-hand turn, nearly impossible. And then once you do, you get up there and then 5 people are pulling out of the farm stand, somebody's pulling out of here, somebody at Abbott's. It's, that whole stretch, I think, is a challenge, I think, at some point. But I guess it's the state, right, that would have to determine the safety.
Because we can't even say go in one way and go out another way, right?
No, well, it depends on the traffic generation levels.
Right.
And for this project, the traffic permit from the state isn't triggered because of the traffic
should do it now. Just kidding.
I think it's unfortunate, because I think where that light is, I get it, I get that it's the intersection of two roads, but in reality, it's in the wrong spot, anyway. Just the way everything's stacked up there, it's just, it starts at Dunkin' Donuts and then goes all the way up 202, but
True.
as far as the traffic concerns, I get why they put it there, right, because 5 and 202 intersect there, which makes sense that you would put it there, but aside from having like lights every 2 seconds, which you're not gonna do, but, you know, I don't know.
People go on the speed limit, that would help.
Yeah, that would assist as well, yeah, yes. Questions? Any other questions at this point?
No.
So I think this, it was contingent on this, we've seen this, so if everybody's okay, I think we need a motion to approve the preliminary application at this point.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary application at this point.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? All right,
And then set public.
we have to set the
Public
public hearing date, yeah. How long do you need, Angela?
When is September?
My recommendation, because of the way the mail has been, late, as of late, I would recommend the first meeting in September.
It's right after Labor Day.
The 3rd?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's just one we'll need to make, well, I guess it's just a public hearing, right, so we wouldn't need a necessary quorum. I mean, we just have to make sure we're all here, since Stacy's gonna have to recuse herself,
Yes.
so,
I should be here.
okay.
Yeah, it should be good.
Joe, you good?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I'm good too, so. September 3rd it is. So thank you.
Good to go. We're good?
That's the end of old
Thank you.
business, yes, thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, so under new business, we have new legislation update and outline. Michaela's gonna present to us.
Dun, 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 dun.
So,
Yeah, look at this a little bit.
Would be good to put it up on the screen, but that's okay. Didn't grab the cord.
Is it just this?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That was
That's
what
fine.
page and
Yeah.
keep up.
Okay, so this packet covers 6 bills. There's another 2 that, are important for towns to know about, but they're less relevant for like ordinance wording, so I didn't include them, but one is about tax increment financing and the other is about impact fees.
So when you say bills, these have all been approved and are going into law, correct? Okay,
They've all been signed into law.
signed into law,
Yeah.
okay.
I only included the ones that have been signed into
Okay,
law.
excellent. There's more, I take it, I'm assuming, there's always stuff, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
there's a whole lot more that was not signed,
Yeah,
but,
okay.
could show up in a future
Gotcha,
session.
okay.
So, yeah, a lot was passed. We'll start with the biggest one. I gave them all a short little nickname so we could refer to them as something other than
Thank
the
you.
numbers.
Very nice.
So LD 1829 omnibus, calling this the omnibus bill because it has a lot of different things in it about land use regulations and what municipalities can or cannot regulate. So this is a change, that follows LD 2003 from a few years ago and kind of continues that path of, kind of the state overrun of home rule in terms of local land use authority. So, this one requires your compliance by July 1st, 2027, because you still abide by town votes. If you didn't have the town vote, it would be by July 1st, 2026. So some communities, usually the larger ones, have to comply a bit sooner. And basically preempts local zoning that restricts residential density, and it's designed to help increase the housing supply statewide. And there's no comment on rulemaking in the legislation, so We're unsure yet if there will be rulemaking following the statute that changes things slightly or adds clarity. We don't know. We have heard that there are already issues people have with this bill that might be addressed in a future session. Hopefully those are fixing clarification issues. But again, we don't know yet. There are basically 9 big categories of change in this bill. They changed dimensional standards in growth areas, so it's changing the regulation for minimum lot size, and it also is changing what planning boards like yourselves review or don't review. And the onus then shifts toward either a staff review committee or just not even having a staff review and just doing like a building permit. So directing directly to the code enforcement officer, Mike, or to a committee that would be like fire, public works, code enforcement, planner, et cetera, like we do when we review subdivision plans, that kind of committee. So that piece will be up to Waterboro to decide how we deal with it. But I kind of got ahead of myself. So the first part is minimum units per lot. So all areas that allow residential units must allow 3 units. It was 2 based on the LD 2003, now it's 3 units. But if you're in a growth area or served by sewer and water, you must allow 4 units. So in Waterboro, there is no public sewer, so it's just the growth area is applicable.
What do they mean by growth area?
So, great question. So a growth area is defined in a comprehensive plan, and it's an area where the town says, this is where we're gonna grow in the future. So it's usually identified in your future land use plan. The way the state has interpreted this with LD 2003 is that the comp plan doesn't need to specifically say a growth area in Waterboro is XYZ. It's more like if the concept is identified, then it's considered the growth area. I say this just because your plan doesn't necessarily use the terminology growth area, but you still have the concept in your adopted comprehensive plan. So it's basically all of those like transects of the village areas that say like, this is where we're gonna have, expect higher density, or this is where we're gonna expect more development to happen. Those are your growth areas. So, when I've just done a brief review of the ordinances to see how they kind of stack against this so far, and it looks like your growth areas already allow 4 units. So they actually, we don't need to amend that part. You're already in compliance from my first review. What would need to be amended is your forest and agriculture zone, your conservation district, and your village residential, or is C?
Village residential is like Arrowhead, and they
Yeah.
don't allow ADUs, so how does that affect them?
Right, because that's a private organization, yeah.
Well, it's just its own HOA, so it's deed restricted.
So, the deed, the zone has to allow it, regardless of what the deed and the private agreement allows, I believe.
Really?
So that's different
They
than
c-
LD 2023.
I can't imagine that.
No, we're exempt. Actually, and the only reason I know this is because they did actually call
They called and asked.
Mr. Fecto, Ryan Fecto. He was the promoter of the 1829, I
Yeah.
guess.
Did they called and asked about 18?
They actually called
Okay.
because there were people trying to already do this.
In Arrowhead.
Yeah, they were trying to do an ADU.
I'll have to check.
So I don't
on
know,
that.
right, I don't have proof, but I know that they called. So it would be, we would print
But-
off our bylaws and stuff, and then maybe review that.
I think it still might be a difference between what the underlying zone allows
Okay.
and what the private development allows.
So Arrowhead is considered village zone?
Village
VR.
residential.
Yeah, so we created specifically for Arrowhead.
Is that because of the small
Lake
lots?
Arrowhead is they are the only VR zone in Waterboro.
Cause if it's deed restricted
Oh,
in,
village resident.
in
no.
each property
Village residential.
within Lake Arrowhead, that they can't have an ADU or they can only have X number of units, then that is still,
Single
deed.
family house only per deed.
okay, then that's what the deed says. But the zone, the VR zone that the town created, that has to allow it.
Right.
So, we would have to amend the zone. We'd probably wanna make sure we do a lot of education around just, your deed still says a certain thing, so you need to make sure that whatever your deed says, you comply with regardless of.
So the deed would override.
So how does that work? So
Yeah, sounds-
they come in for a permit to get an ADU based on the fact that the zoning allows it. So then the onus is on who to say you can't? They would have to go to
Check the
Arrowhead
deed.
to get their approval, or how does that work?
They come here first,
Yeah, they would have to give them the permit,
before they go
correct?
to Arrowhead.
You'd have to give them the permit for that, if we're only basing it off of this, not some other
If
condition.
we were basing it off from this,
Yeah.
not knowing that Lake Arrowhead doesn't allow them,
Right,
we would have to give them the permit, but we
Right.
know that the deeds say a single family residence only.
but could the
Can
town
they-
speak to a deed?
Mm-mm.
Can't, right? So
No.
you would have to give the permit, and then
Arrowhead's gonna deny it.
Arrowhead, is there a process to go to somebody, so like, they come to the town to get the permit, is there like a
Process
planning
is to
board?
go in, no,
Yeah.
it's
I would think
email.
they'd have to go to the Arrowhead first, wouldn't they?
They don't, they come here first,
Yeah,
Really?
and then they go to Arrowhead, and
Yeah.
Amy would just say, I'm sorry, we don't allow that here. But the setbacks are the issue too, because with I would think, because the lots are so small, most of them are so small, I don't see the setbacks with this
And the
septic.
setback's the same as.
The water's coming in the front, the
Same
septics
as-
are in the
as
back, there's
the
no other
other?
place for,
there's,
Yeah,
that's why that was created, to prevent some of the stuff.
I think that will be a limiting factor for a lot of different properties, not just
Well,
in
they have
Lake
their own
Arrowhead,
zone,
but
basically.
if you can't
This
make
is
sure your
village.
septic and water are
So we
at a
created
far enough
this so
distance,
that
you
it
can't
had to
put
come
it
to
in.
this.
Right.
Yeah, it's
So-
kind of controls the growth there.
Can you update a deed once it's yours?
depends on what you want to do with it.
So could the person who
When you
owns
sell,
the deed alter it to allow more than the one?
Deeds run with the land, so I think it is a
Run with
very
us.
difficult process too.
Right.
I
You can
No,
transfer it to a
good.
person, but I don't know
Yeah.
that you can modify the
so if you
deed.
sell it, you
Yeah.
can't necessarily change the deed.
Right.
No.
Well, you can if you change your property lines. I
Right,
just didn't
yes,
know if you could
yeah.
change it for
Oh,
anything else.
Yeah.
No,
Right. No,
I
'Cause
think
you-
there are some exceptions, but for the most part, no.
I just wanted to see
Unless
if
you
we
were
tried
selling
to
a
alter
piece
it
of
just to get
land.
this done.
and you said you didn't want any mobile homes on it to the person that you sold it to, like a
I have
lot
to
of
write that
people
into
do.
the deed.
You can add that.
Hmm.
I didn't think you could.
Mhm.
Once it's theirs, it's theirs.
You're selling it, you
You're
can
selling
make
it.
that a
You can make that
condition.
determination,
I
I
know
know we're
somebody
getting
that
off
did that
topic,
with
sorry.
no
No, that's
outside
okay.
clothesline visible from the
That
street
could-
yeah. Oh, really?
in their deed.
In their deed, not an HOA, but in their own
In
personal.
their own, when they subdivided the property,
Hmm.
he put all kinds of restrictions to it. No RVs, no, visible from the street. Could be behind the house, but not visible from the street.
Ours has covenants, but if, 2/3 wanna get rid of it, then we can sign off on it.
Oh, yeah.
We have to pay for that, to be recorded in the registry.
Interesting.
So you would need to amend these so that they can abide by this new.
Yes, so
Three
the
units.
F and A,
They are,
no,
No.
the A already complies, actually.
oh, yeah.
The conservation and the VR districts have to allow up to 3 units per lot. That's that's the change that needs to be, and that can be 1 primary dwelling and 2 ADUs, or 3 ADUs, or 3 primary dwellings. The law, one of my biggest problems with it is that it seriously conflates what an ADU is with what a primary dwelling
Yeah,
is.
is there a square footage restriction on that?
No,
And
so,
does it have to be owner occupied?
nope, no longer.
Well, there
So
you go
we're
with
gonna
the
get to
F&A.
that.
That's
So
not-
there's,
Yeah.
there's
I was gonna
really-
say,
That's
so this
ridiculous.
trumps everything we've been kind of talking about, right?
Yes, yes. So there's basically,
I was afraid of that.
in my mind, like, so basically what happened is that ADUs are more approachable to a lot of folks as
Sure.
a way to increase the housing supply, right? It's just a little unit and it's attached to your, you know, primary dwelling unit, so it's not gonna change the look and feel of the neighborhood, yada, yada. So that was kind of the big push, right? If we allow ADUs everywhere, we can increase the housing supply without really changing density much and without really, upsetting people because they're, you know, they're pretty, you know, visually, they're smaller than your single-family home, so they're not, you know, changing heights or et cetera. But because they were easier to get public buy-in to, they kind of were turned into like, let's call everything an ADU. And so now this legislation really conflates what an ADU is and what just additional, like, multifamily units are. So it gets a little confusing to call them ADUs in my mind, because they're not really accessory anymore. They're just
Right.
A unit.
additional
Another.
units,
Yeah, they're ADUs, they're another dwelling unit.
Yeah.
That's
Not an
right.
accessory.
It's not
Yes.
accessory, it's another.
Yeah.
So three, up to three
Mhm.
in those districts.
Yes. And in some others, but they already comply, they already allow up to 3.
And not owner occupied required.
No, we'll get to that too. So the other minimum lot size, requirements apply to, growth areas with sewer and water, which does not apply to Waterboro, so we can ignore that. And, minimum lot size for areas that are not in growth area but do have public sewer and water, again, does not apply to Waterboro, so those two pieces we can ignore. Then we have a minimum lot size in a growth area with no sewer. So it's basically, it's essentially 20,000 square feet. It says no more than the Title 12 septic minimum, which is currently 20,000 square feet. So if that changes, then the 20,000 would have to change to stay in compliance. But for right now, 20,000 is like a safe
What's that, half acre?
assumption.
Half acre.
It's a little less than half an acre,
Yeah.
yeah. So my recommendation here is to just clarify in your ordinance what you're calling your growth areas. So you can say like, these are our growth areas based on the comp plan. And then, amend those growth areas, which per my reading of the comp plan, it would be the village, the residential, and the general purpose districts, to be a minimum 20,000 square foot lot size. And then you would also need, you have a section about apartment conversions, and I think that would need to be amended to comply, with the density and, lot size stuff, cause it's just, it was made before that, so it doesn't quite fit the standards in the ordinance about minimum lot size and minimum units per lot.
So just so I understand,
Yeah.
I've got a lot, I already have a house on it.
Mhm.
Now, I'm in F&A zone.
How much land do you have?
I've got 7 acres.
FNA, which is forest. and-
Forest and agriculture.
That's the big one
So
that they
yeah,
wanted
so
to change,
require
right?
5,
Yeah.
currently
That's what
require
they're doing
5
right
acres to build.
Yeah,
Well, yes and no,
Mm.
but yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
So,
no.
I would still, if I wanted to put 2 more houses on my lot though, I need to make sure that I've got the setback still between my house and the next house that goes in there, correct? We're not throwing all zoning out the window here.
It's sort of throwing all zoning out the
Is
window.
it? Okay.
This is what we need some of the clarification
Gotcha,
on.
okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
it basically specifies you cannot require any additional dimensional standards other than what already exists.
Okay.
So it's getting around the loophole of, okay, sure, you can have 3 or 2 units per lot in, you know, the A&R zone, cause that's what it currently says to
Sure.
comply with LD 3. Sure, you can have 2 units per lot in the A&R zone, but you need the minimum lot size for each of those 2 units.
Mhm.
Now you can't do that. Now, if
Gotcha.
the minimum lot size in the zone is X, then that's the minimum lot size for both of the 2 units that you're allowed to put in that
That's
zone.
crazy.
That's ridiculous.
But-
You just lost me, cause I thought you said it was a minimum lot size per unit. So if I
how
own
it
2
was.
acres, can I
No.
put 2 houses, two,
Previously, you could not
It's gonna be
have
like
under
monopoly
LD.
around here.
previously, under LD 2003, you could have your regular house and your ADU
Right.
on that.
Right,
Now, you can just throw up.
Three?
so it's a 75-foot setback from the road, 35 from each side, and 35 in the back?
Yep. and
So
then-
you have to stay 70 feet between one house to another?
No,
It
that's what
doesn't-
I
Or can you put
understand.
it 10 feet from the other house?
As long as you've got fire separation.
It's,
You need
That's
fire
crazy.
separation?
'Cause you
Not that
Fire
anybody
like in
would, I
between
would
each,
think
yeah.
nobody would do that, but then again, you never know.
But I just, I think it's,
Stack 'em up like photo would, I mean,
is,
Wait, and what about
Just-
septic
what about-
systems?
you, you still have to make sure, I mean, that's the controlling limiting factor, right? Is septic and wells have to be separated, and you have to be able to build enough septic and enough
Right.
wells to service
Gotcha.
the households.
sure,
So that's gonna limit something truly ridiculous from
Right.
happening.
right.
right.
However, you're gonna see more development.
If you put in a
Like
1,500 gallon septic, 1,500 gallon septic, why couldn't you do 2 houses and share that?
This is
You
where the
could.
site evaluators are gonna come in and they're gonna start writing variances on these smaller lots.
Right. So, but what perplexes me is that they didn't all of a sudden make a house less expensive to build.
Yeah,
No, they have
Do you know what I
not
mean?
done
This only frees up space potentially, but
no,
the
doesn't make
space,
it more affordable.
it doesn't make it more affordable, but then in reality, you still have to know the person who owns the land already in order to get your house.
So
on
it can
there,
never
right?
be-
The person that owns it
Yeah,
has to be the one
yeah,
that
has to be
builds
the
it
one
and
willing
puts it
to
and is the renter.
allow you to
But what
do
about driveways, if you're not able to get, like a shared driveway?
It doesn't address driveways.
It's
Not yet.
unnecessary.
Well, LD 2003
Everybody has
talked about that too, where it's like, we're not gonna mandate parking.
Yeah,
But it's
This
gonna,
is-
so if you have a house and an ADU or another house, however you wanna label it, on one parcel of property, it'll always be one parcel of property, correct? You can never just sell the primary house and leave the ADU. It's always a package deal, if I understand that correctly.
The way LD 2003 is it's always a package deal.
But
What
this
these
one-
do,
Cause you have two structures on an acre or 2 acres or whatever, and then 10 years down the, well, I mean, I know I can't predict the future, but if I sell that property, I would think both
both
pieces
pieces would have to go
would
for
have to
sale.
go with it, right? Which
Under
may
the
or may
current-
not make it more valuable, who knows?
Probably it's just so far within
I'm
the
trying
zoning.
to remember,
And how's taxes work, Andrew?
cause
Does
someone
Does
had
it
a,
increase the value of the property
Of
for
course.
taxes purposes, right?
Of
It
course
would-
it
I would
does.
think it would,
It's
right?
buildings.
I
Yeah.
know there was a concern about that issue of selling ADUs separately or together with a primary unit. And someone had said there needs to be a section about abiding by the condo law in Maine. Like either it's an ADU and it goes with the primary dwelling, or
When it
it's
starts.
condoized and you have a process for owning this building separately
And
from
that's
the
because the
land
ADU
underneath.
could be part of your existing building.
Right, but I don't think that section made it in, about the condoization,
Hmm.
so I'll have to get back to you guys on that, cause I'm
That's-
not really sure.
That's really confusing.
Can the
Yeah.
town implement moratoriums on building?
Like how many permits you can give a year? Is that what you're asking?
the growth permits were suspended, the growth ordinance.
Right.
Somebody would have to approach the board of selectmen to reenact the growth ordinance. Right now, the growth ordinance was, don't quote me, I think it was, I don't wanna say 200, but it might have been 200.
I thought it was 50.
No, I think back in the day it was an astronomical number, and we're not even close to that now.
Additionally, this law
I was
prohibits
gonna
you
say-
from establishing a rate
Yeah.
of growth ordinance in a growth area.
Only in a growth area.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you couldn't do it there.
So you're gonna find out if we have a 6 acre lot, we have a house, and we wanna put 2 others on it, so each gets 2 acres, its own septic system. Are they divided, can they be sold separately and deeded separate?
I know they can be sold separately.
Yeah.
I just,
That's wrong. That's just, I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong, I know the
That's
houses
bad. Can be sold separately, I don't know if the land can be.
That's the
I see.
condo part.
That's the condo part,
Got it.
Gotcha.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it still has to meet your minimum lot size. So if your minimum lot size
Right.
is
2
5 acres,
Okay.
2 acres, the minimum lot size has to
For
be
that zone?
5 acres.
For
Yes,
that
for
zone?
that
Right.
zone.
So like the one, what is it, F and R, right?
F&A.
If it-
F and A, that one's what, 5 acres? So if somebody has 25 houses, they could literally put 5 houses in there? Or 4 houses, up to 4 is what it
If
says,
they have
right?
25 acres?
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 acres or whatever.
Yeah,
If they had 20 acres, they could put up to 4
houses
houses.
per 5 acres, so.
Right,
it's
so
20.
my lot,
And they could sell the house, it would just, the property, the land doesn't go with the house, from what you are
We
probably
have
saying.
one of those in town already.
Yeah.
And this
Alden
doesn't
Pines.
consider any kind of green
What is it?
space for
Alden
residential and all that.
Pines.
What is that?
Off
No, I mean,
Rose
you,
Street.
the town
Yeah.
could regulate that. You could require a certain percentage of,
Green space?
with a certain number of units built, I think.
Hmm.
It's basically you'd require a cluster subdivision approach instead of a standard subdivision approach, if that was what the town wanted to do. Okay, that's not even
We're
half
not
of
even
this one
touching the
bill.
surface.
Okay. This part, I believe Waterboro already complies, but we'll get a legal check eventually to make sure. But it's regarding the qualified affordable housing development bonus density. So this is where in LD 2003, if an affordable housing development came in that provided at least 51% of the units as subsidized affordable units, guaranteed for 30 years, then they could get a bonus density of 2.5 times the underlying zone. And the state requirement is that all areas that allow multifamily residential in a growth area must allow the bonus density, and you already allow the bonus density in those areas from my cursory review, so I don't think that changes anything. And I've still only heard of one development using the 2.5 times bonus density in the entire state, so it's still just not something that is happening. A change for the affordable housing developments that are qualified is that they have to be allowed to build an extra story in height, so up to 14 feet.
Above the zoning limit.
Above the zoning limit.
so what is a qualified affording housing
So
development?
they have to meet the US HUD standards for affordability, so they have like this whole chart about income levels and what your house
Not they, the
costs.
individuals, the area has to be, it has to be met, right? It's not an individual petitioning that they are above
No,
income, right?
it is, so it's that the developer is guaranteeing that, say it's a 20-unit building, that at least 11 of those units will be rented out at a cost that is guaranteed affordable to people who make, like, say, 50% of the area's median income.
Okay, so this doesn't apply to an individual dwelling then? This is somebody who's doing a, Housing
Yes, this is only
division.
for the qualified affordable housing developments, which
right,
it's kind of confusing because it doesn't have a minimum number of units needed, but in order to make something like that pencilable by a
Yeah.
developer, it would have to be a very large
Number.
number.
okay.
So, yeah, essentially it's like when you have dozens and dozens of units and over half of them are affordable.
200 Main Street.
No,
No?
not large, not
Why
large
not?
enough.
Why not though?
It's not large enough.
It's not large enough,
They
okay.
wouldn't be able to make it pencil.
That's gonna be what,
Okay.
36 units when it's done?
Yeah,
Because, if you think about it, at market rate, those units are probably gonna go for, if they're 1 and 2 bedroom units, they're gonna go for like 1,700 to 2,500 each. If they were subsidized, they're gonna be 900
It's
to
like half that.
1,300.
Yeah.
so what's an example of something that would
Something
qualify for
qualifies.
this?
Scarborough Downs.
I was gonna say.
So we're
Scarborough.
talking a really
Yeah.
big,
That's huge, yeah. That's like a city.
Yeah, but they're not subsidizing their housing.
but something of that size is what you're
Probably,
talking about?
yeah.
Okay.
So like the townhouses that are in, the duplexes that are in Romulus.
I'm not familiar with them.
There's not, that's only a few, isn't
There's
it?
only, yeah, I don't think there's
Yeah,
one.
It's like a
two, three,
dozen.
four. They're not big enough either, okay.
No.
Other developments like the
New
one
homes.
across the street, right, that's affordable housing.
Yeah.
It's smaller, but that was done in partnership with an affordable housing developer who specializes in that and like gets grant programs and assistance
Yeah, but
to
isn't
help make
Is that
that
age
piece.
restricted
50,
too, though?
50 plus or something, ain't it, too?
It used to
think.
be,
Oh, yeah.
I don't see anybody younger over there, but I think Augusta has different requirements than
Mm.
what was originally
Originally.
over there.
Right.
So each one of those buildings, let's say that was the size,
Was big
could add an extra story to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Only if they were built to code to do so. They could handle that extra story,
Right.
so.
Oh, you mean the
The
structure
structure
below
that
can
must
handle
be able to
it.
handle it, yeah.
Oh, you can put a story on
Right.
top of anything, you
Oh,
just gotta.
I'm sure you can. Well, they
yeah,
can't schools because they sink. I
Mm.
mean, so because they never built the,
Foundation.
that's what
Foundation.
happened with the Juliana, the old Juliana.
I have a typo in the next one. So sprinklers and ADUs, it should say cannot require sprinklers and ADUs attached to buildings unless the total unit count is more than two, not where it's more than two. So basically, if you have one single family home and then you're building one sprinkler, you can't require that ADU to be, building one ADU, you can't require that ADU to be sprinkled. So it's trying to lower the cost of constructing one ADU.
Didn't they just put all these sprinklers, remember? Everything's gonna be sprinkled. Now, no, nothing's gonna be sprinkled. No. This is just, I don't get it.
Okay, next one, planning board review threshold. So you cannot require planning board review for 4 or fewer residential units within a structure. So if that's the only reason for a application to go before the planning board, just the fact that it has 4 units, you can't require that to go before the planning board. So if it's a quadplex and that's the only thing on the site, then that would just go to either a staff review committee or just get a building permit, depending on, how we set up the ordinance
Yeah.
process. So it's basically treating a quadplex, triplex, or duplex the same as a single family home, which also doesn't have to come to the planning
So
board.
they're trying to make
get
it easier for them to get in.
Yeah,
Yeah, cause there's a housing shortage. That'll fix everything.
Really. Rick.
so the impact there is to amend the site plan review ordinance. Planning and appeals board training, all new members must attend a training within 180 days, and then the Waterboro impact is that y'all on the board would have to attend a training when you're new, and otherwise the staff would have to track and ensure that you attend that training. They're generally helpful, I think, from what I've heard. I don't think they're horrible, and I don't think they're too long, but
They're kind of expensive.
So we grandfather, we have to go to training.
We got new chairs, honey.
Yeah,
You can
we do
afford to
have
pay
that
for
chance,
training.
right.
oh hey, you did get
We
me
do
there.
all the chairs.
Okay, that's LD 1829. It's pretty
That's
long. Oh no, there's another piece of it which I thought I put in here, but oh, I think I didn't export the newer version. That's why. It changes what a subdivision is from 3 to 5. So it's still units, I'll clarify. So now to trigger subdivision review, it's 5 units or more and 3 lots or more. But if it's 4, 3, 2, or 1 units, it's just site plan or not, or staff review.
Not
Mostly staff
necessarily
review.
planning board at all.
Yeah, not
Can
necessarily
you repeat
plan
that?
review.
So today, what, it's what?
3.
Today, it's 3 or more.
For subdivision.
Now it's
Okay.
Subdivision.
Now it's
Now it's 5 units or more, but still three
Three lots.
lots.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say, okay, 3.
And it's still the same, like within the 5-year period and exceptions for family and all that stuff, it's still there. It just changes the number threshold. Yeah, so I'll send you the newer packet. I thought I did, but I guess I did.
Did you update it again after you sent the second one?
No, but I think when I sent the second one, what I did was I exported
I
the
think-
first one twice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Divide your lot.
I think that right there, I think of all
They're
the
making it
things
easy.
that I think would be what deters people
They're just
is
saying
probably
that-
going through that whole subdivision piece for more than 3 units. I think that one right there is the one that people are gonna capitalize on the most, because I think right now, people think
I think we're
subdivision,
gonna-
and so they step
it's
away
gonna
and
be
they
crazy.
abandon those plans, and now if you're gonna increase that, I think you'll
So I can
see.
do
You've
4,
got a
no
lot
problem.
Yep.
You've got
Or
a lot that have
five.
already held out.
Yeah, they're waiting for this.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, they've gotta be, right?
Another ADU one that I have in the other version sent you is, you cannot have owner occupancy standards anymore in your ADUs. So before you could require the owner to either live on
One.
the primary or in the ADU, and now you can no longer require those things, so they could both be rented. And you cannot require them to you cannot limit them to only single family. So currently it says you can have 1 ADU on a single family lot, but now you have to allow ADUs on a multifamily lot as well. Which is why I'm saying that it's conflating what an ADU is and what a multifamily lot is, because an ADU on a duplex is simply making the whole thing a triplex, because
Why don't they
they're
just
all
call it
rental
what it
units.
is?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah. That's
So
the only
before
fun
they
fact.
had to, the primary had to be bigger, the ADU smaller, all that's out the window too?
They didn't say you couldn't have the size requirements so long as you allow them to be 190 square feet minimum. They didn't say anything about,
So does that change our square feet minimum?
It's
No.
basically a
For
camper.
the ADU?
yeah.
Yeah.
Really? We're going back to 190?
8 times 24
So we're
foot
doing the
camper
little
is 200
houses.
square feet.
The tiny houses?
John K.
Quit
Collins.
shaking your
A
head,
small
yes.
camper.
So,
Wow,
8 by
That's a
22
lot.
would be
So
190,
they have to-
yeah.
that's a
A
lot.
22-foot camper would be 190 square feet.
Okay,
Thank
next
you.
one.
Thank you.
Parking.
That was helpful,
Yeah.
Michaela.
LD 427 parking. This one's at least simple to understand. It has no compliance date specified. So I think that means immediately, but usually they provide a timeline for making ordinance changes and then it's not in there. But rulemaking is specifically allowed in this statute, so they might, in rulemaking, address the timeline for implementation. That would be my guess. This one basically preempts local control over establishing parking minimums in growth areas. And the reason behind that is because parking is usually the biggest cost of a development. And so they're trying to ensure that parking is not the only thing driving up the cost of a residential development. That's why they're doing it. The 2 requirements in it are that you may not require more than 1 off-street parking space per dwelling unit for a residential development within a designated growth area. So, yes,
You cannot?
you cannot. So, you can require 1 per dwelling unit or fewer, but not more than 1. And just in your designated growth areas. And that's part of the reason why, because so many different pieces of these legislative changes refer to growth areas, that I think in the ordinance we really need to specify these are our growth areas. So that way it's not as much of an assumption, that it's clearer.
So I understand it. I've got a house, I have 1 parking spot in front of it. I've got 4 people that live in it. Now, 1 person, no, I can only, as a town, we can only require 1 person to have to park in there, the other 3 people can park on the street.
Correct,
It's allowed.
It's allowed.
it's allowed.
Okay.
However, I will also say this, most of the time, it is not the developers or the towns that, really influence how much parking is provided, it's usually the bank. The bank wants to ensure that there's enough parking for the project to be successful from a financial standpoint, and it's usually the banks that push a higher parking amount than a developer does,
Okay.
or a town. So if the town requires one, but the developer to go get backing from the bank shows them the plan with one, and the bank says, we're not comfortable with that, then the developer is gonna provide 1.5 per dwelling unit, or 2 per dwelling, or whatever number, because they
Because-
have to do that in order to get backing from the
Right.
bank.
Because, and the bank is, their perception is that somebody looks at that house lot and says, ooh, I'm gonna have to park 3 cars on the road, I don't want this piece of property.
Right,
So-
they wanna make it,
Right,
they wanna
Yeah.
make it valuable.
yeah,
So it's basically just, essentially what this is doing is like not making the town the stopping point for the
Right.
parking.
Yep.
I don't think this one will change too much, honestly.
So the bank allows 2 parking, they got 4 people living there, 4 cars. We can't stop them from parking on the road.
Well, that's a different question. The town can have regulations about what kind of street parking is or isn't allowed where, and if you have to pay for it or not, and if you have signs up for certain hours you're allowed to park there or not. That's still up to the
Get them
town.
off the street when we plow.
Yeah, but you as the town cannot require the developer to pay for more than,
Gotcha.
and
Got it.
build more than
Okay.
one off-street
Got it.
spot. The developer can, they could build 20 if they wanted to, as long as they're not exceeding like impervious area calculations. They just don't have to.
Okay.
And then the off-site parking agreement piece is basically the town has to allow a developer to satisfy your municipal parking requirements through an off-site parking agreement. So your street parking space does not have to be on-site. It could be within a 1/4 mile of the development site. So basically, say a developer owns, get excited. Okay, say a developer owns 3 different parcels, in and around like a village, a town village center. And one of the parcels is quite a bit bigger than the other 2. They could put housing on all 3 parcels, but since they're within a 1/4 mile of each other, put the parking for all 3
In one
residential units
On the
on the
bigger
bigger
spot,
lot.
Yeah.
And in some ways, that's really cool, because they can put the parking, for example, in the back, so it looks nicer. And it can help with like residential infill in your village area, so it feels more walkable and vibrant and et cetera. But, it's not something you'd wanna do for like, a senior living facility or something like that, obviously, because you don't want people walking a 1/4 mile. And in areas with limited parking, it could be a little bit trickier, because competition for street parking, for example, would probably go up
Right.
if the site parking is further away. So that's the parking bill. We have LD 997, which is residential and commercial. This allows residential uses in commercial districts. It basically preempts local control of restricting residential developments from commercial zones, trying to increase housing supply again. It does require rulemaking, so this one should become clearer, since rulemaking is required.
Do we have a commercial zone?
So, you
Village,
do,
village.
but they already
Which has-
comply.
Yep.
They already
Yes.
allow residential,
Yes,
so.
so this one, you're good. All your commercial zones allow residential as a
Right.
conditional use, so you're fine.
Yeah.
Well, are they conditional anymore?
It doesn't specify. If rulemaking comes out and specifies they must be allowed uses and not conditional uses, then you would have to.
We'd have to modify that
Yeah.
to take it out of condition.
But again, I don't think the impact there is honestly much. I'm not too concerned about that one. And then it just has a bunch of like, you may do this or you may do that, in terms of regulating the residential uses allowed in a commercial zone. So you can regulate the design of the residential, you can regulate, by limiting the ground floor of a building to commercial only and residential on top, things like that. But you don't have to, you just may. So that's that bill. Then we have LD 970. I didn't really know what to call this one, so I just called it adding to existing. This one, you have to comply with immediately. It preempts local control over amendments to site plans and subdivisions, and there's no rulemaking. This is one that I think the town attorney, will be called upon because it's fairly confusing, and has a lot of legalese. So it's basically saying that when you add new dwellings to existing developments, that they're exempt from review, subject to certain conditions. So as long as they meet those conditions, then they're not going back to the planning board for a site plan amendment or subdivision plan amendment.
The way I understood it, I agree with Michaela, we gotta get some interpretation from Ben. The way I read it is if we have a subdivision that one of the conditions is one single-family dwelling per lot, we can't uphold that condition, right? Is that, because it would be, if somebody wanted to add another unit onto their lot, it wouldn't have to come back for planning board review. It's now exempt under this, that it would just go to Mike for
Permit?
For a permit. and-
Yeah.
and it's-
that was, I had to read it several times too, it didn't. It seems to go a little bit circular, but I agree, we need to have Ben look at that, but that was my interpretation,
Yeah.
that if we have an approved subdivision that has a condition of approval that one single-family dwelling per lot, this says
They can add a second.
they can
So
have a
this is
second.
But
a
the still
subdivision
question
that's
remains about the
existing right
deed,
now.
yeah.
Right, because as it is right now, that existing subdivision with that condition of approval, if they wanted to change it in with minus these laws, it would have to come back before planning board for a subdivision amendment.
But say it
This
was,
says they no longer have to come back for an amendment, that Mike can just issue the permit.
say the subdivision was 5, like the maximum without planning board, and then they add one. Now it makes it 6,
5 dwellings or 5 lots?
5 dwellings.
Well,
So you're saying, earlier we said that you could do
Yeah.
5 dwellings without planning board review. Like
4.
now it's 3, but it's going to 5. So if you have a 5-unit subdivision that
You do
somebody
4, right?
builds, and then down the road they wanna add an ADU, or call it whatever you want,
so
now it's 6.
that would be different because it didn't go through the site plan or subdivision process to begin with.
Okay.
So if you added a new one,
So use the subdivision that's over with the storage units across from Dollar General.
Patco.
Okay, that goes.
Use that as an
Oh, so
example.
which-
That's a
okay,
subdivision.
no problem, all right.
If they came back now, because I think one of those was on 11 acres and then the others had their, because there was one off. They added one, it had
Oh,
much
you're-
larger.
That's Chatwin Ridge Road.
All right.
Yeah.
They're able to add now, they've been off with planning board, they can now add to that acreage, that one unit.
well, what I don't know is if they can add
Yes.
new lots.
I think it's, so it says.
It's
if
not a
you-
new lot, it's,
exempts new dwellings
Dwellings.
at existing developments, subject
Right, so if you added new lots, you would still have to come back for an amendment, but if you just added the new dwelling units, since
You
now you
wouldn't
can
have
have
to.
3 or 4 per lot, depending on which zone you're in.
They
Yeah.
potentially do it.
Yeah.
And this is another one where the deed is important to know, right? Because this would apply to Arrowhead potentially, right? If the
Correct,
deed,
yeah.
Guys would be reviewing a lot of deeds.
Yeah, this one was confusing. There are
can you
some.
imagine if Arrowhead could double in size?
Oh
Or
my
triple in
gosh.
size?
gosh.
Rebecca,
No, I, seriously, like,
Shush.
it's reality, potentially. It's wild.
This next one, LD 1184, reporting. This is basically requiring municipalities with over 4,000 residents to report certain data. It's mostly around certificates of occupancy and building permits. So essentially just creates more work for
It's an annual
Angela and
report,
Mike.
yeah.
I was gonna say, how many people is she hiring?
However, it does come with funding, so, the state will fund 90% of municipal expenses incurred through the reporting, so.
We've already, I've already emailed the company that we have our software through and adjusted some of my fields in our program so that I can go in to the reports that I already have set up to reflect this stuff. So we're already ahead of it, only Michaela hasn't told me yet if I have to actually report the first report on July 31st of 26, or if that's when I have to start capturing data.
Gotcha.
I heard back today, that's when you have to report.
And who is this going to?
I believe it's, that's a great question. I don't know for sure. I believe it's MoCA, the main Office of Community Affairs, but, I'm not 100% positive on that.
You'll get me
Oh,
that.
so in other words, they
Yeah.
wanna track the success of what they've
Yes.
done here.
So fortunately, these things weren't in place. So,
And are they looking for you to obtain a certain number per year?
No, they just want to.
So they won't come back and penalize us?
They
and
just
say,
wanna,
"You're
they just wanna say,
Look, I'm
great,
doing it."
let's do it. The concern there is, right, that if it does add to housing significantly, then they may go back and say, well, then let's do 5. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I have a feeling that the main planning community, among others, will be advocating very hard that no municipal ordinance changes are made in the next couple of sessions, so that way there's time to see
And I don't see
Right.
anything in
happening,
here.
but we'll see.
This makes housing available, but it doesn't say anything about affordable.
It's not
Constant.
affordable, nobody's gonna buy
Nothing's
these, they're all gonna be
affordable.
rentals.
they're all gonna be
Nothing's
rentals,
They're
I
all
agree.
gonna be rentals,
All gonna be
It's
rentals.
the developers just making
When
more
you
money.
issue occupancy, does that mean someone's actually living there, or is it just the house is built to specs and it's ready to be occupied?
Yes.
but a certificate of occupancy means somebody, the house is ready for somebody
Somebody
to
will be.
move in.
But doesn't necessarily mean someone's there.
Right, okay.
Okay.
When the
Um,
banks cut their check, usually.
Yeah,
The only thing I need to figure out how to capture is gonna be the affordable.
Well, on you, so if the unit is officially affordable to 81 to 120% AMI or below 80% AMI, then it will be a qualified affordable housing development, and so then the developer will have to prove that to the town to go through the whole process
That's good.
anyways. So we should know that from the beginning,
Okay.
is my understanding.
I like the next one.
The next one's chickens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody can have their chicken.
Everybody can have a chicken.
Everybody can have a chicken.
Yes.
Yeah, the chicken.
At least
You have a chicken.
1655.
Everybody wants rats. I get it.
Yeah, chickens, you have rats.
You get rats.
Yeah, yeah.
It has complied by no date specified, it has no comment on rulemaking, and it's extremely vague language, so I would recommend going with what the attorney is comfortable with. But it basically says a municipality cannot prohibit people from keeping chickens on their residential property.
Now, is
So
this
we can
including
restrict the
shoreline?
numbers and.
Doesn't say anything about that.
Yeah.
It doesn't
But we-
define
but
what
we
it
could do
means
that.
to prohibit.
So somebody on the lake can have chickens.
Well, there's nothing here that says how many chickens you can have. I can have 100 chickens. Right? There's nothing here that says that. Can
But
we can control that in
I
zoning,
can't
right?
believe
Yeah.
this is actually
Wouldn't
time
DEP
spent for lawmakers to actually
Keeping
come up.
chickens.
it's supposed to, someone told me that it's supposed to be for the whole right to farm,
Right,
and like
yeah.
right to build, have your own food.
Right,
Yeah.
I get it.
It
A lot of,
is,
I
it
think a
is,
lot of
it is.
cities prohibit it, and I think
Yes.
that's probably what this
Yeah.
was targeted
Yeah.
for. So,
Yeah.
Scarborough probably.
Still gonna have them in there, right?
They're gonna have.
We have chickens, we got them from somebody in Scarborough.
I'm hoping,
The
we'll
Scarborough
keep getting
chickens.
more
Scarborough chicken.
information about these.
I'd be curious to see if it's allowed in the shoreline. I mean, that's a, you know,
There's chickens in
Water
shoreline
quality
right
thing.
I
now.
was gonna say this.
There's chickens all over us.
Yeah.
there it is.
South Brown Road's full of them.
Yep.
So this is just chickens, not turkeys,
Correct.
not
Just chickens.
emus, no.
Not
No.
Kids like
Peacocks.
Arrowhead stop the chickens.
It states in our deeds we cannot have any animals. It's in our bylaws,
In the shoreline.
in Arrowhead.
Arrowhead, oh.
You know what, these laws are gonna cost.
Can't have any animals, meaning
Yeah, just-
farm animals.
Any-
But under
court
the,
costs.
Right, specifically
under the sovereignty,
chickens.
You can have dogs and
the
cats.
food
Goodness, we're
sovereignty.
gonna drive this above.
Good thing.
If
They-
it's in the deed, it's
Yeah.
in the deed.
They can't.
Yeah.
That's an attorney question, but deeds are usually very powerful. Deeds run with the land. I remember, that's the
Yeah.
number one thing I learned in my land use law class in
Yeah.
graduate school. Deeds run with the land, period.
They
Yeah.
do.
So we'll see. So those are the 6 big
I
laws.
can't wait for more.
So we'd write that we're gonna allow them, but then we would have to, do we also, can we restrict them as to not be free ranging?
Well,
Like
that's,
the
that's what I don't know.
That's the question, right?
That's
That
the
we can
question is,
control, yeah.
can you restrict the number? Can you restrict?
They have to clip their
Um,
wings.
It says
they
no
can't fly to the
restrictions, right?
neighbors.
Or no
Yeah.
ruling or whatever it said.
Prohibits
You You
municipalities
need a
from
building
prohibiting
permit for a
people.
coop of a certain size, or seriously, I mean, they could build one that's bigger than some of these sheds. that
It
people
does
require.
specify that it's no roosters. This does not apply to roosters. So it's just
So the
chickens.
noise.
Yeah.
Do you need the rooster?
What?
Produce the
What?
eggs, don't you?
I didn't read that.
I know it doesn't say
It
anything there.
says chickens.
Yes,
The
but
boy to
the,
get
A
the.
rooster.
Yeah, I was like, wait a
the
minute.
legislation is only for chickens. It specifies that this legislation does not allow roosters everywhere.
But you don't
That-
get eggs
it
with
doesn't
roosters,
comment
right?
on roosters,
Well,
other than
I'm saying
saying.
biology.
Yeah, but a
Right.
rooster
So then you
starts
have to
out-
keep track of
A rooster
how
starts
you're
out as a
doing.
chicken.
Yeah.
You don't know right
Yeah.
away.
That's
Chick.
right, you don't find out till later.
Sometimes it's hard to tell.
When they're on dump road.
What's that?
When they're on dump road.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly, when you find
Yeah.
them
Right.
free range.
Yeah.
So,
Poor things.
No.
So, kind of tying this all in, SMPDC got, grant money through the Maine State Department of Economic and Community Development through their Housing Opportunity Program to do a bunch of housing work. So we had reached out to Waterboro, about being one of the towns to kind of do this work with us essentially. So it is basically a free ordinance audit. So the other team of planners and I will go through Waterboro's ordinances and mark up like what can be improved, what's unclear, what contradicts itself, what can be modernized, what can be streamlined, et cetera, like what, where are the pieces where, it's not in compliance with state law anymore, et cetera, and draft a document that outlines all of those necessary changes. So it's not rewriting the ordinance, but it's the first big
Identifying
step you
things.
need to do to rewrite the ordinance, and, we're able to do it all for free for you guys, so, we'll be doing that, and, we're gonna have a steering committee with the different towns who are involved, and the town staff, and the planners from SMPDC, so we can talk through the process. But
That's
basically,
awesome.
we're gonna be doing that for a while, which will then be able to get us started on actually making the ordinance changes in the future, so.
So a while, meaning 3, 4, 5 months? 4 months?
Let me pull up my chart.
So would that potentially include some of the discussions we've had around zoning, F&A zone, and potential of
Right.
not doing across the board, but looking at specific areas of where we could maybe make changes? Would that be included as part of that?
Yeah,
Those recommendations?
we would look at that.
Yeah.
We would say, okay, it's not as applicable in Waterboro, this example, I suppose, but there's another community we're doing audits for that has like 17 zones and 12 of them are residential. And the
Sure.
differences between the residential zones are so minute
Yep.
that, for example, one of our recommendations to them will probably be like, combine these 11 zones into like 4, because you're not really, the outcome of each zone is so similar that it's just a kind of a regulatory burden on your town and on the people understanding the zone, and it's not doing anything for you. So that could be one recommendation. We could have, you know, we'll glance through the comp plan, so we'll be able to say like, you know, this zone doesn't seem to really line up well with your comp plan, or this zone does seem to,
Yep.
things like that.
Okay.
Let me pull up the timeline.
So most of these, well, some don't designate, but most say July next year, and 27.
2027, yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
a year and a half.
You got, okay.
We got some time,
Well,
yes.
we always say that, but then we're like, scratch.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a while to do all this, but the audit's a big piece, so.
So if it's signed into law, but we don't comply until 2027, they can apply now.
It's a gray area probably, huh?
I think we have to have our ordinances in place first, don't we?
Yeah,
Awesome.
the law doesn't apply till 2027, then if they applied now, they'd be under the existing ordinances.
Okay.
So our plan is to conduct the ordinance audits, starting in the fall and then finishing up in June, of next year. And then we'd have about 13 months to actually work on ordinance changes with whatever towns wanna hire us to help them with ordinance changes, so, but about 6 months to do the audits themselves. And yeah, that, I could see us finishing it a bit sooner, but that's the timeline we have for the project right now.
Can I ask about the planning and appeals board training within 180 days? Within 180 days of?
Becoming a planning board member, so.
And that's
So
in
us,
effect
that,
immediately?
we're existing.
Anybody new comes in?
Is it anybody new?
That's-
I just wanted to
that's
confirm that.
It must be the
Any new
effective date.
members?
I believe,
Right, but
yes.
not until the effective date of the.
Yes, it's new, I believe
Is
that
it-
one is new members.
Yeah, it says new members.
But it doesn't say as of when.
Well,
I
you
thought
don't
it said
have
it-
to
didn't
apply
it say
it's the whole
immediately?
So
law.
2027.
2027, right.
Oh,
So
alright.
anybody we appoint after July 1st, 2027. we
Oh,
have to
I
go
see.
through.
For 2 years? Okay, that's,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that we
Yeah, that one.
were on top of that.
So do recruiting now, because
Yeah,
after that,
right,
somebody's
and
not gonna
then-
wanna
Right. People
sit, I
walk.
wonder what the training is involved, what's,
Have they even?
I actually wouldn't mind taking it, to be
Yeah, I was
honest.
gonna
think, and that was
Gonna
gonna,
sign us up for it.
that was gonna be my second question, was
Yeah.
how, where do I go?
There's one that just came in today, I haven't had a chance to forward it yet, because we had our heads together in the conference room while they were working on another ordinance. That it's in Bangor, it's a 2-day planning board conference.
Hmm.
So I will forward that, if there's anybody interested, let me know, we'll get you signed up. It's got all kinds of keynote speakers and
Bangor.
My childhood stomping grounds.
so. I'll get that forwarded over tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do
And
they
then
do
let's-
any webinar, like
Yes.
on-demand online training that you
They've
can
been a little lax in the webinars
Yeah.
lately, but, I've been watching for them.
Okay. So they're usually scheduled, it's not something you could go out and just do on demand.
On your own,
Not usually.
they're not recorded?
That'd be a great recommendation for new members. You know that they're gonna require people after having
I mean, I'd fall asleep, I think, in front of something like that, I'd have to be in person. I would definitely fall asleep.
I'm worse in person.
I think I am too,
Really?
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, fun.
I can get up
Do
and
this?
pause.
Yeah,
Step for a second in front of
get my
people.
coffee.
Yep.
Take notes
Yep.
on a table and all that.
That was very helpful.
Oh, good.
Yes, thank you.
Diane looks like she's ready to.
No, it just,
Alright.
She's gonna go home and look at her deed.
no, my deed's fine. You know who I'm thinking about is her,
Yeah, oh,
your
yeah.
office.
Ah,
Just been building in the registry most of the time anyway.
Now, with the amount of, planning board support, like, I feel like I could have a full-time planner here and they'd have plenty to do to help you guys.
But part of our problem is, it's, Mike can't enforce deed restrictions, so,
It's a horrible position that they're putting towns in. It really is.
Yeah.
And- Or actually people, because they're gonna think they can come here and move forward with their project,
Yep.
and then they're gonna go somewhere else and be told that they can't. And I just think that's confusing. It's hard enough to figure this stuff out anyway.
that's
But
why.
to get this false hope over here and then potentially make an investment into a piece of property or whatever investment you're making, and then just to find out that your deed doesn't allow it.
Yeah,
That's-
I mean,
I mean, I think that's worse than the town being able to control it and shut it down before you make any
there are
investments.
several
They
towns
just remove
often
the
that we
deeds.
point out, your deed
You know, if you're
says
looking at this
this,
property
so,
development.
Arrowhead, obviously, the board,
but
on a
you can't
random
just
map.
say,
Yeah,
oh,
you
well,
won't get the
it's
deed
up to
till
you
you
to
purchase.
raise, it's up
Right now,
to-
you're buying a piece of land, you're coming in and
Yeah.
asking code enforcement, what can I do
What
with
can I
this?
do?
What restrictions do I have? Now you could potentially go through that process and think you're making a good investment, only to get the deed to
say,
find out that you
can't
can't.
have chickens.
Exactly, right?
One thing we could start trying to do, and the ordinance audit could help with this too, cause we'll, audit for process, like how clear is the process, you know, et cetera. It's creating like one-pagers on different things, so when someone
Like
comes
a
in, they know.
checklist, here's what you
Yeah.
need to do.
Yeah.
Well, and
Check
like,
your deed.
yeah, you know, exactly, how to know what you can do with your property, check your deed, check the zoning ordinance.
Yes.
Check the
In
subdivision
order
ordinance.
of, in order of importance,
Yes.
yes,
Self-help.
When they
Check
buy
an
a property, they
HOA.
are signing off saying that they've read all that.
yeah.
Really?
But they'll forget that.
Yeah.
Right,
it's
but
in-
they
Oh, yeah.
sign right
Yeah.
there saying, yep, I read, I understand.
Yeah.
And
I
then
have
they
a friend
go,
that's going
"Oh,
through
I
it right
don't
now, didn't
understand."
read a word of it, and
Yeah.
now there's lawyers involved, and
It's
yeah.
all on them.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But
Well,
like
I was
a-
told.
A flow chart, like, okay, you have,
Yeah, just
this is how you
Go
come
see
for
Angela,
planning
don't
go
board.
see Angela.
You
Yeah.
see Mike
Go see Mike.
instead, don't go see Mike.
If this, then that.
Yes.
Fortunately, we're seeing more and more and more doing their due diligence on their own,
That's good.
That's good.
asking, I'm looking at this property, would I be able to,
Mhm.
can I?
So this would be
Is
very
this
helpful.
That's
If
what
we
I
had something
would do
like
that, I wouldn't buy something unless I know for a fact.
Right, right.
And I would want it in writing, not, oh, this code enforcement officer told me this.
Yeah.
It's
You
your
know.
due diligence time frame. Everybody gets it.
But I like your little, your job aid, so to speak, your
Yeah.
aid. to, everything
It's
you need to
helpful.
have.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's all I had.
That's enough.
That's it?
Thanks.
No, you're not done.
Oh, I'm
No.
not done, you're right, we have more.
Yes.
But that's all on
Okay.
the legislative stuff.
Okay,
All right.
all right. Well, I think that wraps up new business. So we'll move on to minutes of previous meetings. We have a few here. So first one is April 2nd, 2025.
Yeah, I had to backtrack, and get under the motion and approval and whatnot, I had to go back in and watch to get James' second.
Oh.
Which one you want, April 2nd?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Are you missing the word under the second page before the motion? It says, Dwayne Woodson stated that really the shower would only be needed if you get into chemicals or something that you are a real mess.
You are a real mess.
Or,
Or something
something
that
was
you
wrong.
are a
Yeah,
real
I understood what it
mess.
said, but I was
No,
like,
that's
what, is
literally
there a word
what he
missing?
said.
I think that's probably exactly how he said
That's
it.
literally what he said.
Yeah. Any other questions? We'll approve all of them at the end, yeah. Good with April 2nd?
Yes.
Okay. Next is June 4th.
Rebecca was missing.
I was
You
missing.
were missing
I was
that
missing,
day.
so I can't speak.
You did a lot of reading. What is that
Is
noise?
that chickens?
No.
That's the girls right there.
Any questions, concern, changes, edits? This one? Nope, okay. And then we have July 2nd, no meeting,
August,
and
see,
then we have July 16th where there was no meeting. So, if I could get a motion to approve the minutes of April 2nd, June 4th, July 2nd, and July 16th, 2025.
I will make a motion to approve April 2nd, June 4th, July 2nd, July 16 meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Alright. Next, communication, we have Hollis Planning Board, notice a 24 lot subdivision. Michaela to discuss process regarding the review.
Okay, so basically, there's a 24 lot subdivision. It is mostly in Hollis, and all of the structures will be in Hollis. And most of the land is in Hollis. A couple corners of a couple of the residential lots will be in Waterboro, but not the structures. And then basically the land left over, because it's clustered, is in Waterboro. So technically, for each part of this, because it's crossing municipal borders, both towns have to be involved. However, a town can choose to waive their right to be to basically hold a separate formal meeting for each step. So given kind of what's being proposed for Waterboro, my recommendation would be to hold one joint meeting with them to get a sense of the project, and if anyone from the public wants to, show up and learn about it, they'll know that there is a public meeting that they can attend and learn about this project. But then as long as everything you hear at the meeting, seems appropriate to you, then to vote to waive your right to hold meetings for the rest of it.
So we would invite them to one of our meetings so our public could attend and hear what their project is.
Or could
Or
we attend the
we-
public
Yeah.
hearing that they already
We-
scheduled for the
We were
subdivision?
not invited, they already did this.
Herein lies, they
Yes.
have already
They didn't know.
held their
Oh.
sketch plan review. This is,
Okay.
we've gone back and forth with this, and then all of a sudden, I didn't see a reply from Ben. Because fortunately, both of our towns have the same town attorney representation, so he's been able to work with us
Mhm.
through one email. They have already done a sketch plan review and approved the project to go through, but they're phasing it. So they have approved phase one that doesn't come near the town line.
Gotcha.
So do we need to get involved until they get to what could potentially be phase 3, phase 4? Do we,
I hadn't heard the phasing part yet.
yeah,
So has Ben,
Ben hasn't
Provided-
weighed in on that piece. It was
Okay.
like all of a sudden they sent Ben the sketch and then we haven't seen anything back.
Can we ask where?
Mansion Road.
Mansion.
Mansion Road.
Okay.
So Mansion Road runs in
I know
Hollis up,
Manson,
and
I grew up on,
yeah,
that-
so
yeah.
it's just this pie shape that is gonna cross over into one of the old deering fields, right along beside the power lines.
My neighbor.
it doesn't seem like something you guys would need to go through the whole process with, but I think it's important to have at least one joint meeting to to be involved, and if you have questions, then you can ask questions and feel good about deciding whether or not to, make them come before the planning board and do joint meetings or not.
So if there are borderers that are in Waterboro, they would be part of Hollis's,
Yes, they
is that
have
word,
all,
Hollis's board meetings?
Yes,
they've all received their
Okay, good,
abutters
all right.
notification.
Okay, good.
yeah,
As did we,
Okay.
because it carries into Waterboro.
Okay.
I think
But they didn't
we
know
received
they
it
had
the
to
day
go.
before
Yeah,
they had their,
How many do you know how many residents received the
in
letter?
Waterboro?
there was probably 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
where there were four.
not many. Yeah, we'll have to get Ben's opinion on the phasing.
What town will the residents of the dwelling reside in that situation? Is it where
It's
the
all
majority?
Hollis.
All the
Yeah.
residents
So-
in
Yeah.
Hollis.
So because the dwelling itself is on a parcel of land that's in Hollis.
Phase one.
All
No,
of them,
all of
they're
them.
all,
All of
none
them.
of the,
Okay, so
Yeah.
because of where the physical house is gonna sit is in
Mhm.
Hollis, gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
But some of the lots are gonna be in Waterboro?
yeah, it's like,
How's that work?
Not
Depends-
much.
The deed straddles.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
The
is,
You can
land
have
straddles.
your house lot can be in two different towns?
Oh,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Really?
so do you
Yeah,
get
different
assessed
states.
taxes on the,
Both? You pay taxes
Yeah,
for
that's how it
two
no,
places?
I think you have to designate your
your
town.
your
Yeah.
residence, yeah.
Yeah, that way you designate what school you go to.
I'll grab the parcel.
You got each school district, oh, I live
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Dayton and Hollis.
Yeah.
I can go to Thornton.
That's right, this is on my greatest, my backyard.
People just lie where they live anyway, and then
Yeah, exactly.
it's a joke.
What a way around it, you'll find it.
Yep.
That fall under AR, you know what I mean?
I don't recall, but I think yes.
AR,
Yeah.
yeah,
24 lots.
Subdivisions
Yeah.
on Deering Ridge Road, it's gotta be,
it's gotta be.
Be expensive houses, that area.
So it's this one that I'm holding.
All of them are.
Yeah, and we need to figure out,
Yeah.
find out from Ben if by already approving, they just mean that they accepted the sketch plan for the sketch plan part, and now they can come back in for the preliminary, or what exactly they mean, and then we can go from there about scheduling a joint meeting.
Oh,
They're so technical.
you can leave it. So, according to their sketch plan, all the development is over here with this remaining parcel is
So-
what's gonna carry into Waterboro.
So that white is Waterboro, the gray is Hollis?
Yes, so all the residences will be over here.
Yeah.
So that's the only part that's gonna be Waterboro,
This
is that little
yes.
triangle right there?
That
Are they
triangle right there.
designating that triangle as their green space for their development?
Most of it, there are
Most
a
of it.
couple property lines from the subdivision
Yeah,
that will be private property crossing that line, but they're very small pieces. I think it was 2 lots. And it was, so small that the house wouldn't even be able to cross that line.
and where's the road in relationship to this picture? Mansion Road.
That says 411 Deering.
Yeah,
I
Ridge.
can't
Road
see it.
is further
Isn't it
over
that way?
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mansion Road runs along here,
Okay,
and their
So it's on the
infrastructure is
left.
gonna come in here, and there'll be a hammerhead right about there.
no water running through there? No brooks, no ponds on our lot?
What's that road in Waterboro?
Right here,
No,
this one?
Yep.
That's Deering Ridge.
Deering
that's Deering Ridge, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the power line.
Right.
Oh, those lots are already existing
Right.
pieces
Right.
of property, so those small lots are all those new houses along the
Yes.
field.
Yeah,
And then that big one's that
yeah,
big beautiful
Bennet Hill
home,
Road
yeah.
is here.
So it's behind that big nice house that was just recently built.
Yes, it's
Yes.
behind, this is, so you've got Larry Jacobson.
The
Yeah.
big field,
No, Larry's
Yeah.
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's the fork where the dump
Yeah.
is, yep, okay. So way out behind that.
If you hit those.
So they coming in off of, where are they coming in
They're
from?
coming in off a mansion.
Mansion.
Off of Mansion Road, right, you said that, yeah.
Yeah, so it is.
So they'll come in off from Mansion Road,
Which
which
is,
Right
is,
there.
I think that's, and then just come in and their
Yeah.
infrastructure stops here. And then they'll have a, they've got another one right over in here.
huh,
Was that all one existing piece of property? And,
I mean, we don't have any say over it anyway, right? I mean, it's not like
Well,
we
we-
can,
No, you can.
We do.
We could
Yeah.
have conditions.
But, right, but,
I mean,
but I mean, there's not much we can really do anyway, cause it's not, there's no structures gonna be in Waterboro.
right, but I
Just
would think
some
we'd
of the
want
lot.
some kind of condition that says if you alter your plan and you want to do something over there.
Yeah, I guess that would be good to
but
put
I
in,
guess that's not gonna make any difference come,
according to this, yeah.
Good,
Right.
it's
Next
already,
year.
already,
It's 24 lots, that could
Phase
turn
one,
into
phase
25,
two.
that could turn into
oh, that's true.
50 houses.
maybe because it's a different town, maybe
Yeah.
that'll be a stipulation.
how many,
I don't know.
houses are in the phase one of it, do you know?
Okay, Lynn, do you have it right?
It's 25
I'm pulling it
total.
up right now.
I think they did,
Have you ever sent
Six.
me?
Maybe 6 to 8.
6.
I thought,
Huh?
cause I did look it up in
Did you?
towns.
It's not letting me open the file. I don't know why.
Wow, that's a lot.
Sometimes the VPN just does not like it here in Waterboro.
Did she just go to get something, or we still talking about it?
I think she went to
She went to
find
see
out how many
houses,
houses phase
yeah.
one.
Answer your question.
I was gonna pull it up, but it won't
Oh,
let me
gotcha.
pull it up.
You wait for me to adjourn this thing, or what?
If she comes back, we're all going.
Didn't know if
Oh, I
everybody
didn't
was
realize
looking
she
at me.
left.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a whole lot. Say anything,
Yeah.
other than if you change it, that's not.
Winds up like that one over the line in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was a mess.
Going with that.
That changed so
Well,
many
they
times,
dissolved
Did
and
it
then.
really?
so many
Oh,
times.
I feel like
But we just did the
this-
same
guy
thing
that was
with the,
running the HOA wasn't even in this, it was
no,
Yeah, that
Right.
was kind of a mess,
a
wasn't it?
mess.
but we just did it on New Dam.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't changing, it wasn't over the town line, but the New Dam subdivision that changed.
Oh, the one we just dissolved,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And so that guy split his lot and
Yeah.
sold it.
Oh, did he?
Something that looks good over there,
Just looking for it. There you go.
something that's not over there.
Chickens. I should put
Should call it hens.
I'll
time
say
and
guinea
effort.
hens, does that check?
True.
Yeah, you guys should be making them.
Not turkeys, just chickens.
Just, no, no, no.
No geese,
Ostriches.
ducks, only chickens.
And I think COVID and shortages on eggs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Avocados just came to head a
Oh,
lot.
we sure did, yeah.
They wanted their own chickens, couldn't have laying hens.
Thank you.
I don't mind chickens again.
I'm so invested in food, farm. Don't think.
Such a fun,
It's in my upbringing.
I love it.
No, thank you.
I hate pigs again. Whole world's
Mm.
again. Second to go down that track.
Exactly.
They do tie you down.
Yes.
Nice.
I think it's on the right.
That really makes me like seasick watching something like that.
There we go.
Cause I focus on watching the mouse.
This mouse is okay, it's the one that has that trailer that follows it.
Oh,
by
yeah.
its own paper. It's like it's got deleted, that was it. Oh, no, that was not me.
I think they did it, approved it on June 11th.
There should be a sketch further down.
There we go.
So, keep going. Is that the last page? There it is.
Yeah.
There's that
So
one.
you zoom out a little.
All the remaining land is Waterboro, yeah.
Four, yeah.
So
Yeah,
those,
So these ones here,
But you can see the buildable footprint
Yeah.
is not in Waterboro.
Gotcha.
and then we
Bless
were discussing phase one is gonna be out in here. I can't remember how many lots they said was gonna be phase one, and then they're just gonna phase back, I think there was 3 phases. But their initial phase was out here.
so that part that's in Waterboro, is that even gonna be, is that gonna be divided up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lots? Or is it just part of the association or whatever they call it?
It's just listed as remaining lands.
Remaining land, so it's not like it's gonna be, I wonder who's gonna own it?
It's
The
common
developer.
space.
It could be their
Developer.
green space or
Yeah.
common space.
Whoever owns the roads and stuff.
Yep, and in speaking with BH2M, there's gonna be a hammerhead here right now.
Yeah,
They just don't have it on the plans.
So not a throughway, or
Right.
dead end, it's,
Mm.
okay.
coming in off of Mansion Road.
I don't
Looks like
remember how
2
it's
places on
labeled.
Mansion Road or just one?
Or what their open space
Oh no, that's
requirements
a
are.
lot.
Because it doesn't call out
Green
open
space,
space
yeah.
or
Right.
green space,
Yeah.
it's remaining lands.
Right, that's how
So
it
it's
has
just
it
one-
designated, but we don't know.
Just
right?
one spot
Yeah.
coming off of Mansion Road, one place then, it looks
Mhm.
like, yeah. Wow,
I think we need to learn from them what they mean by phasing, because if they're phasing construction, but they're still doing approval through this one process, then we need to abide by the state law.
Looks like they're all
that
like pretty big
municipalities-
sized lots,
Yeah.
three to 4 acres. 150,000, 134,000, 87, so it must be a 2 acre lot, 2 acre minimum? No, one's 90,000. Lot 2-6 is only 90,000. Oh, that's 90,000
It's 58 acres total.
That's 2 acres,
It's a
right?
lot of land.
roughly. 2 acres is 90,000. So it's probably 2 acre minimum. Wow. I bet those people right there are happy, huh? Greg and Amy Jones, and they're probably excited. Wow.
So wait to hear from them.
We need to hear more.
Imagine what it
Okay.
costs to put that road in, just the road alone.
But it may require traveling to Hollis for a planning board meeting.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
It's close.
but I think the one thing that I did see Ben say was that we had to hold, that they had to hold simultaneous reviews.
And they've already reviewed.
Yes.
So they can't say, oops, we made a mistake, we need to do another review?
See
Does
how
it
the
say forgot a
developers
piece?
gonna-
Because each town,
that.
if you, I think if you get back into the email, that they had to do simultaneous reviews with each town, but each town had to formulate.
Yeah, so the meetings are supposed to be held jointly, but each town can decide separately. So
Separately,
you as a
right.
board can recommend something separately from what Hollis as a board recommends.
And we can still do that even though it's, the sketch has already been done with the developer.
Yes.
Developer's aware of this.
Yes. I think the question we need to ask Ben is if Hollis needs to be present at the meeting where we do the sketch plan review. Since they should be held jointly. Or not.
And then depending on if that's open space or not in Hollis, because we're not sure if they have an open space, can we set conditions on that? Waterboro leftover.
Yeah, 'cause that, if you look on lot 3-2, there's a road that goes through there, and like you said, there's gonna be a hammerhead there, but what's to say down the road, they don't wanna keep going right into that Waterboro parcel of land.
We just read, she just went through all those new laws, guys, that is
Yeah, we
gonna,
can't, yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
sound like there's anything that we could,
not unless there's gonna be something saying you crossed town lines, and now you have to go to the other town.
Right.
but, so I mean,
So we have to do the same reviews that they do, irregardless of the fact that there's no residents of the town.
You don't
Unless
have
you
to,
waive.
you can waive your right to.
Yeah.
Unless
So-
you waive it.
My recommendation is we figure out exactly what their plans are with that
Yeah.
land, and if it's.
And then we determine whether we want to.
but it sounds like they could do it, doesn't really matter, because,
Well, no, cause if they get it approved as open space, then
They
It
can't
has to
do it,
stay.
right.
it has to stay open space.
gotcha.
They'd have to come back for an amendment to change the use of the land.
Yeah,
Then they'd have to go back to both towns.
Technically, yeah.
Right.
yeah, because the development's in one town and the land's in another town.
It's more to come.
Okay.
All right. Next on the agenda, miscellaneous. Nothing. That just leaves adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Those in favor?
No, I wanna keep going.
Yeah, please. More information.
That's gonna be the longest meeting we've ever had.
No,
No.
don't you
No?
remember that public hearing?
Public hearing.
Hearing,
was really-
Was that?
Hearing that I'm still trying